Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're going to be doing a pregame of the Week 3 matchup against the Cowboys. Um, you know, Obviously, as you know, we're going into this game 0-2, for the first time since 2015. And, our chances of, you know, salvaging a winning season, they aren't looking too good right now. I believe in the past 10 years, or I think in NFL history, there's only been two teams that have went 0-2 and made the playoffs. And the Texans from last year are one of them. And the other team isn't quite coming to my head right now, but it's two teams, and the Texans were one of them. So we got a lot of we got an uphill battle, to really face. And, we gotta dig ourselves out of this hole. And, before we kind of get into the stats, I just wanted to talk about, kind of, the press conferences and media, availability comments that were said this week. I feel like Daniel Faalele and Ben Cleveland are probably the most two popular Ravens, in Baltimore this week. And just in terms
Sorry,
of,
sorry, sorry for the faces. I had to sneeze for a second.
oh no, you're good, you're good. But I feel like Faalele and Cleveland are probably, the two most popular Ravens this week. Just in terms of how much they've been mentioned, by the media and fans. And, a lot of people are really clamoring for Ben Cleveland to kind of get a start. And John Harbaugh was kind of, really blunt, really just, brutally honest and, on his reasonings on why he hasn't played Ben Cleveland. He says that, Lele just flat out, outperformed him and did better than him in practices. And, that's fine. They obviously see something that we don't see, but the numbers are undeniable. I mean, I heard that Cleveland's PFF grave grade towards the end of last season was, really high when it came to run blocking and pass blocking. And, he looked really good at some points. He played in week 17 and 18 last year. And, we could use that type of effectiveness in both the run and passing game. And we haven't
You're
seen that
right.
from Lele. I mean, um, there's this YouTube video I watched, Coach Evans. There was like 10 different plays where he pointed out Lele just being too slow. So I just thought those were interesting comments by Harbs there, and I just feel like at some point it's just undeniable, he has to give Cleveland a chance, no matter what he's seen in practice.
You're right.
There's different film from practice and in the game, so, what do you think about this, that Harbs said?
Well, what's funny is, the pregame show I did last week, when I was giving you a chance to take a break for a second, I said in it, I wanted Cleveland to start on Sunday, meaning last Sunday, this week, the game, the day before the game versus the Raiders. I wanted Ben Cleveland to start that game, and he didn't. So, when I found out Falele was out there first, I was Falele and Macari, I should say. I was not thrilled. I'm like, what are we doing here? But I guess they were giving him another week to see, like, maybe it was just, Chris Jones, whatever. But I mean, you're going to against Max Crosby, so it's not like it's anything easier, and I pointed that I said that in the video. I'm like, I want Ben Cleveland. I want to see Ben Cleveland out there. I don't want to see Daniel Falele out there because that's just gonna be a mistake. And it proved right. It was a mistake. He looked foolish out there. I mean, that right side of the offensive line was really bad. And I think, Rosengarten, I think I always confuse if it's Rosengard or Rosengarten. I think it's Rosengarten.
Hmm.
I thought he played very well when he was out there. I think he played 15 snaps on Sunday and he played very well. So I don't know why he didn't stay out there for most of the game, and I don't know. I'm irritated because I'm gonna just say this. You know, the if Ben Cleveland is truly worse than Daniel Flele, which doesn't seem to be the case, me and you are not film gurus. We're not in the locker room. We know nothing about this team inside, the clubhouse or whatever, or the locker room, whatever. But from tape last year and even previous years, he's looked way better than how Flele's looked these 2 weeks. But if by chance I'm sorry, if Cleveland is worse than Daniel Falele, we have a huge, huge issue that you can't just fix with a trade or whatever. It's very difficult to trade for a lineman and have him start right away. That's just not practical. So while I am very irritated at Harbaugh for not starting Ben Cleveland, if Ben Cleveland truly is worse than Daniel Falele, we need to start having a conversation about ADC. Now, not about losing his job, but about how poor he came into, I mean, how poor, how unprepared he came to the season with this offensive line. That he took a chance with the pass rush and the defensive line, and it's looked good so far. I thought Clown Van Noyes looks really good. Always looks really good. Ojabos look good in spurts. Matabike is doing Matabike things, and even Travis Jones needs to make a next step as well. Pierce made it was very well last week as well, but that seems to be paying off. It seems like it pays off more for defense than offense, but it's really not paying off for the offensive line. Like I really would have enjoyed having either Moses or Zeitler on that right side of the offensive line, and then you figure out one position. If you were always going to give it to Voorhees, then fine. You have Linderbaum and Stanley in between him. You have two All Pros. That's an AP sandwich right there. So you know, but having two guys who've never started in the NFL. Well, I guess Makari has, but Makari, who's not a quality starter, as a backup, yes. For a few plays, yes. But as a consistent starter, no, absolutely not. He's not that quality. He's never been that quality.
Right.
To have him and Falele back to back is borderline terrorism, in my opinion. That's an awful decision to make. That was an awful decision to start the season. Van Cleveland didn't even get reps at right guard during the preseason. He played more center because of Linderbaum's injury. Why? Ben Cleveland looked great last year in that Dolphins game when we didn't have Kevin Zeitler in that game. He looked great in a few games. I think he was playing both that week and the Steelers week, that those the back-to-back weeks or something, and he looked great. He looked great. And if he doesn't look as great, he has Linderbaum to help him out. But he has to be somewhat better than Filet. Like, I mean, it can't be this bad. Like maybe Harbaugh had it in his mind that he was already going to start Filet. He was just hoping that a guy of that size was going to work great at guard, but it just hasn't. He's looked terrible. For a guy his size, he moves like a snail. Like Coach Evans said, he can't get his hands up quick enough. It seems like he's walking through mud. I mean, he looks like I don't want to be rude. I'm not going to make any comparisons, but he looks terrible up there. So if Ben Cleveland's not out there on Sunday to start that game in Dallas, I'll say my prediction at the end of the video.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny. I remember you almost slipped up your words there and said that EDC, came into this season poor. I just wanted to say, with how our wide receiver cores and how our offense looks, you would think he is poor, coming into the season. But
I'm like Bashadi.
yeah, Rashada, yeah.
Well, I
But
mean, I guess technically we were poor. I mean, we're really against the cap just because of all the big contracts we have on our team, and two guys I don't think deserve big money, and that's Marcus Williams and Marlon Humphrey.
true, true. But you know, I think we can get into the stats now.
Right? Show my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
I think we did the other one first, actually, last year. Um, I don't remember
Did
how we
this one
did this.
first. Yeah, we did this
Yeah.
one first.
So just to read off the offensive stats for Dallas, I didn't do this last week just because it really didn't make any sense after just 1 week. But now we're 2 weeks in. We'll be doing this the rest of the season. But to get into Dallas's offense, and their passing game, well, I guess this is just their overall. Points per game, they're averaging 26 points per game, which is seventh in the league. They're averaging 309 yards per game, which is 18th in the league. Points per play is 0.413, which is seventh in the league. The yards per play is 4.9, which is 23rd in the league. The third down conversion rate is 37%, which is 16th in the league. Their fourth down conversion rate is at 33.3 percent, which is 20th in the league. Their red zone scoring touchdowns is 25%, so they're 20th in the league. So that's something interesting for our offense. I'm sorry, our defense to see, going into this game this week. And their touchdowns per game is at 2, which is 12th in the league. So just to move on to the rushing statistics, the rush yards percentage is 36.51%, which is 26th in the league. Their yards per rush is 3.7, which is 26th. Rushes per game is 23, which is 24th in the league. Rushing yards per game, it's 85, and that's 26th in the league. And rushing TDs per game is 0.5, which is 19th in the league. So what is their starting running back? Ezekiel Elliott? So that probably explains why. But anyways, pass play percentage, they throw the ball 63% of the time, pretty much 64, which is seventh in the league. Completion percentage is 63.5, which is 19th in the league. Yards per pass, 6.1 yards, which is 23rd in the league. Passes per game was at 37, which is seventh in the league. Pass yards per game is at 224 yards per game, which is ninth in the league. Interception percentage thrown, interceptions thrown percentage is at 2.70%, which is 19th in the league, and QB sack percentage is at 7.50, pretty much 7.5%, which is 15th in the league. So, as you can see, their offense hasn't, seen do their thing in the first few weeks of the season. I think maybe these stats are maybe skewed because of last week. They really got trounced by the Saints last week. I think what was it, 44-19. So,
Yeah.
they did good in Cleveland, but they looked terrible in Dallas last week versus the Saints. So, if you could do the honors here and read off the defensive. Oh, I guess I just want to say, obviously this is a very, pass heavy team. They throw it 63% of the time. That's going to be pretty obvious when you got guys like CeeDee Lamb, and then you have guys like, Ezekiel Elliott as your main running back one. That's going to be the obvious kind of way. So it's going to be a very big test for our secondary, which is one of the worst in the league this year so far. So I'll let you read out the defensive stats here for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, so opponent points per game, it's 30.5, which is 30th in the league. Opponent yards per game is 231.0, which is 20th in the league. Opponent points per play, 0.484, which is 28th in the league. Opponent yards per play, 5.3, which is 16th in the league. Opponent third down conversion, 30.43, which is top 10. Opponent fourth down percentage, 60% dead on, which is 13th.
I don't let Harbaugh see that.
Opponent
We're
red
gonna
zone.
run some BS freaking Patrick Ricard Hail Mary or some.
Oh yeah, and I think they're cooking up with that. Yeah. Uh, opponent red zone scoring touchdown percent 85.71. So we should really eat in the red zone once we get there. Like there should be no doubts about it. Opponent touchdowns per game four. Like come on Ravens, come on. Four touchdowns per game.
Yeah,
Like we got to at least get 30 points each
they
game.
need to cook in this game. Go ahead, read the defensive stats here. This is the
Oh,
rushing
okay.
stats.
Opponent rush play percentage 43 46.3%. So, I would hope we expect to run the ball a lot. Opponent yards per rush 4.9. So basically, I mean, that means that in two rushes we should get a first down. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Derrick Henry. I mean, we should see that the majority of the time. I'm not saying it will happen every time, but it's a good chance it will happen. Opponent rushes per game, 29 rushes per game. Opponent rush yards per game, 141.5. This is screaming the 2020 game all over it, where we just pounded the ball. Gus Edwards had like over 100 yards rushing. J.K. Dobbins cut up too. This is screaming that. Opponent rush TDs per game, 2.5. So two rushing touchdowns for a running back, that's a lot. That
Mhm.
means that they're eating. So, basically, we just need to pound the ball against the
Yeah.
Cowboys. And to be honest, that's how we've always beat them. The
Yep.
Cowboys are 1-5 against us all the time. We've always beat them by just pounding the ball against them, just rushing our way out of AT&T Stadium. So
Remember, I think it was it Willis McGahee who ran over them in Old Cowboy Stadium? The
yep, that
last
was the
game they
last
ever
game.
played a game. Like
Yep.
they just ran all over him. So if Harbaugh wants to be old Harbaugh, this would be a good game to do it. So, anyways, did you read the passing statistics? Statistics?
Passing. Okay. For Dallas
The
offense.
passing defense. Passing. No, I read all the offensive stats. You
Oh,
need to read the
passing
defensive.
defense. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so offensive pass play percentage, 53.97, which is 12th in the league. Opponent completion percentage, 57.38, which is sixth in the league. Opponent yards per pass, 6.2. Well, don't let Harbaugh see that either. Which is 17th in the league. Opponent passes per game, 30.5, which is 17th in the league. Opponent pass yards per game is 189.5, 17th in the league. Opponent interception thrown, 4.92, which is fifth in the league. And sack percentage, 10.29, which is fifth in the league. So they get a lot of sacks. And they can obviously bait you into a lot of interceptions. They
Mhm.
still got Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs. That's going to be honestly, I don't want to see Lamar pass a lot in this game. I know Lamar is kind of a guy that likes to gamble sometimes. I don't really like our matchups. Zay Flowers, I'm pretty sure, Trayvon Diggs is going to be on Zay Flowers and Deron Bland is probably going to be on Bateman. I don't really like those matchups. I feel like this should be more so a tight ends eating game. I could see Likely and Andrews. I feel like Andrews really should have a big game, kind of break him in, kind of, just have him give him one of those games again.
Yeah,
And
Darren, he's not playing.
oh, Deron Bland?
He's on the injured reserve.
Oh, he's not playing? Okay, that's good. But still Trayvon Diggs is still I don't really like that matchup, you know. Against our receivers.
Yeah, so probably gotta read more statistics here. No. We're just getting to the stats here. Offensive stats this year. Um, for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Holy crap! Look at their rushing stats through 2 weeks.
They barely won the ball.
Holy, did it like really reflect? I didn't really pay attention. Hold on. How are they not last in the league in rushing stuff?
They
Who is
barely
the worst? Who's that's the real question. Who do you think will be the worst? Like the Patriots?
probably the Panthers. I'm not
No,
gonna
no, I
lie.
was not. Oh, you're probably right. Let me check. No, I want to check here because
The
who is
Patriots run the ball
worse?
a lot, actually.
I was gonna say they got that one guy who like tore up versus the Bengals in week 1. That doesn't help. Oh, I did the wrong way. That's why. Hold on. I'm wasting time in this video. What is it? Carolina?
Yes.
No, they're not really the worst. Who would be the worst? Is it us? So no, it's not us. Who would it? Who like think about it? Like really think about it. Like, is it Denver?
Maybe
Are
the
they?
Raiders. Maybe the Raiders, honestly,
Oh
because
yeah, right. Maybe the Raiders. They can't run the ball. They're Vegas. I almost looked up Los Angeles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're the worst at everything here.
yeah, because I
So
don't really remember them running the ball that effectively against us or that much.
yeah, and that says a lot. So go away, MLB. Nobody cares. Dak Prescott. Anyway, going back to the stats here. Dak Prescott is 46 for 71 this year, 64.8 completion percentage, 472 yards, 6.6 yards per attempt, 236 yards per game. His longest is 65 yards. He has 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 6 times, and his quarterback rating is 81.4. Their rushing stats. What is it? Rico? How the hell you say his last name? Doodle?
Doubt them.
Dowdle. It's like Doodle. Anyways, he's played 2 games. He says 15 carries for 56 yards. He's averaging 3.7 yards per carry. And there's no touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott makes his reunion this year with the Cowboys. He says 16 carries for 56 yards as well, 3.5 yards per carry. His longest is 9 yards, and he has 1 touchdown. Um, CD Lamb is close to getting up there. 3 carries for 25 yards,
He has half of
8.3
their
yards per
yards.
carry. And we don't gotta read off the rest of them. They're not really doing anything. But receiving stats, CD Lamb has 9 receptions, 17 targets, 151 yards, 16.8 yards per catch, 1 touchdown, and he averages
That's about it.
75 yards. Damn, you're not even kidding. 75.5 yards per game. Jalen Tolbert has 7 catches on 11 targets, 94 yards, 13.4 yards per catch. Um, and he averages 47 yards per game. Brandon Cooks has 6 receptions on 9 targets, 59 yards. He averages 9.8 yards per catch, 1 touchdown, and 29.5 yards per game. Um, Luke Schoonmaker, I'm gonna say that
Yeah. Shoot,
Schoonmaker.
Shoemaker.
He's caught everything. He's 6 receptions on 6 targets. So don't look out for him maybe. Um, for 43 yards, 7.2 yards per attempt. The average is 21.5 yards per game. And then everybody, I mean, whatever. I mean, it's like, who cares? So anyways, you can read off the defensive stats here.
Yeah. So Eric Kendricks, he's played in both.
Wait,
He's played in both
do you
games.
want me do you want me to sort this out by tackles or sacks? Like, how do you want me to do this?
You can do sacks.
How about I order it like you can read off who has the most tackles and then sacks and then like interceptions or whatever. What do you think? Like
Okay.
if I do it like this, like I order it like oh you can read off the first like 10 or like 5 or 8 or whatever, and then you could do sacks and then what you get what I mean?
So you're saying I could read off the first, I just do tackles and then you read
Yeah,
off
yeah,
the.
like you don't have to read everybody. I mean, that's a lot of people, but I mean, unless you want to read everybody, but
Okay.
you
I mean,
just
I'm
read
fine with it.
like
I'm
okay.
fine.
Right.
So Eric Kendricks played in both games so far, has 9 solo, 8 assisted, which equals up to 17 total tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, and he's doing pretty good so far. We have DeMarvion Overshown. That's a crazy name, DeMarvion Overshown. two two games played, 9 solo tackles, 6 assisted, which equals up to 15. He has 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. He has no interceptions. Damone Clark has 2 games played, 2 games as well. 7 solo tackles, 4 assisted, 11 total, no sacks, nothing else. Trayvon Diggs played in both games, 8 total tackles, 2 assisted, 10, which equals to 10 total tackles. He has no interceptions. Oh, he has 1 interception so far. Um, Kalen Carson played in both games, 8 solo tackles, 8 total tackles, no sacks. He doesn't have an interception. Donovan Wilson played in both games, 2 solo tackles, 6 assisted, 8 total. He has 1 interception and 2 passes defended. Michael Parsons played in both games, 5 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 7 total. He has 1 sack, which is surprising. I thought he'd at least have like 2 or 3.
He won
One
this game.
sack for 5 sack loss, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, and I think I'm gonna stop at Malik Hooker. Demarcus Lawrence, he's like a beast to play against in Madden. I hate playing against him. Uh, Played in both games, 4 solo tackles, 3 assisted, 7 total. He has 2 sacks, and equals up to 16 sack yards. So he's pretty good so far. We got to watch out for him. 3 tackles for loss. That's about it for him. Jordan Lewis played in both games, 5 solo tackles, 2 assisted, which you go up to 7. And he has 1 pass defended, and that's it. And then Malik Hooker played in both games, 3 solo, 3 assisted, 6 total, and that's about it for him. So,
What a very weird way to spell Jordan. I've never seen that before.
Jordan.
Try to pronounce this guy's name. Osai what?
Oh, also Digazua,
Nice. What about this guy?
Maurice Lufau. I wanted the Ravens to
Um,
keep him.
Maurice. Anyways, we probably stop sharing my screen here. So, with that being said, oh, I guess it's all you.
Um, he says so. That's We're filming an Orioles video, but the Ravens have, a lot, on their plate in this game. The Cowboys have a pretty stout defense. As of recently, they've always had a pretty good defense, ever since 2020. They've made it a priority to have a good defense. So we're gonna have to watch out for guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, obviously, and then in the passing game, like I said, Trayvon Diggs. They still got guys like Kalen Clark, who's stepping in for Deron Bland. So as I said, I don't really like our wide receiver matchups. I feel like Trayvon Diggs on Zay Flowers or Bateman, it's not really one that you want to exploit. I mean, maybe, Zay's speed can get past Diggs, but at the same time, I mean, Lamar he isn't that accurate throwing a deep ball, and I don't know if you want to risk it, especially being down, 0-2. So I think we should just, we should be aggressive, but also play it safe this game. Just run the ball. That's what people have been saying all week. I mean, you guys have seen the Dallas Cowboys, rushing defense, and up to this point, that's their weakness. Just run the ball on them. Really, Derrick Henry should have at least 25 carries in this game, and also 2 touchdowns, I think. You know, so I want to see, him really, mixed in a little bit more than what we've seen. No less than 18 carries. If he has anything less than 18 carries, we might lose this game. So I think I want to see Derrick Henry. I don't think I want to see Derrick Henry involved a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, in terms of the defense, Ravens defense, I feel like CD Lamb has to be a priority. I want, a safety help on him in all plays or a double team on him in all plays. I have noticed the Cowboys have a great tendency to draft like or develop really good tight ends. Schoonmaker, whatever it is. He's pretty solid. I've seen some film on him. He has great hands. So and they have Jake Ferguson as well. I don't know if he's playing, but Those are definitely some two guys to look out for as well. But I would say just CeeDee Lamb, is the main focus on offense. Him and Dak have really good chemistry. So, being able to break that up early, I really feel like if we take him out the game, we have a very, very good chance of winning.
Right.
You can make Dak easily frustrated and make him just a non-factor. And I feel like if we can take CeeDee Lamb out and make him rely on other guys like Brandon Cooks, who's kind of getting up there in age, and I don't even know the other Jalen Tolbert, and their tight ends that I mentioned, we have a good chance of winning. So, that's just my keys to the game. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know if he's still a phenom, but like, special teams maybe because of maybe that Turpin guy.
Oh, Turpin. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Devontae
So,
Turpin.
so no duds from Jordan Stout on Sunday or today, I should say. So, I think the main keys to the game are going to be. I mean, I'm probably going to piggyback off of what you said. You got to shut down CeeDee Lamb. You got to run the ball, and honestly, just control the time of possession. Honestly, oh, I think the main one, Ben Cleveland, Rosengarten, first drive, very first drive. They need to be established as the starters, in my opinion. And if Ben Cleveland shits the bed, then we're gonna have a terrible season. So um, so that's kind of my keys to the game. It's not really anything too much different than yours. But we can't keep setting ourselves up for failure for putting out Falele and Makari out there. Like it's one thing if you have one weak point in the offensive line and that was Makari, or if it was Falele, or that's it. Like you just want, but you can't have both of them. Like
Yeah.
it has to be one or the other or none of them. I mean, I prefer that. So those are probably my keys to the game. I definitely agree with you, along with mine added on one, which is betting Cleveland and Roger Rosengarten.
Yeah,
First
I'm at
drive, all drives.
yeah. I'm gonna have to start calling Falele for flip flops because that's what he plays like. He plays like he has flip flops on.
The dummy.
So that's just flicker. But yeah, this should
Yeah,
be a
score
game
predictions now. Oh, go
that
ahead. Sorry.
yeah, this should be a game that the Ravens should just come in, with just a high intensity, looking to be aggressive, but also, play to win, and do it smart. So, hopefully we can achieve that.
Score prediction.
Oh, score prediction. My
Are
bad.
you up for your powerful? Like, something like your power's gonna go out.
Score prediction. I see this game being 30-27. I feel like it's going to be a close game, but I feel like, we get the
Who?
run game going. We kind
Oh.
of, have a game winning drive and go away from them a little bit. So 30-27 game winning drive.
I actually have two, and that's if these two
I mean,
scenarios happen.
you can just keep saying your score prediction.
Okay. All right. Well, my two scenarios are if the Ravens start Ben Cleveland and Roger Rosengarten, I think the Ravens win, and I think they win 34 to 12, 34 or 22. I think the defense, definitely is gonna have its hands full if Wiggins isn't playing. Obviously the secondary is gonna be interesting. Watch us put Brandon Stevens on CeeDee Lamb, so but no, like you said, like we're not giving our guys help, when it comes to these elite receivers, like we didn't do with Devontae Adams. So I want to see big games from Rowe and Kyle Hamilton. Those two have looked very sluggish to begin the season. And I think Kyle's is due to injury, but maybe Roquan. I don't know what's wrong with Roquan. He seems a little slower this year, so that's something to look out for. But if we do start Falele for and Makari in this game, I think that we lose, honestly. And I think we lose like 28 to like 24 or something like that. Like that's only if we start those two.
Yeah.
So, but I do want to ask before we end this video, if the Ravens do start 0-3, what do you do from here on out? Because now you're really looking at like a very failed season already in just September. I don't want to like be over exaggerating, but it's not like we play like some cupcake games like the Panthers next week afterwards. Like, no, we play the Bills and then we play the Bengals. So we're staring 0-5 right at the face. Like, what would you do if we start 0-4? I mean, 0-3, I'm sorry. Is it oh my God, forget it, tank the rest of the year, or is it we got maybe trade for guys, or we just gonna lock in? Like, what do you think we should do if we head to 0-3?
I definitely have some internal talks. Um, you know, just about the head coaching, especially if it's another one of those games where Harbaugh has a couple duds, where he's just not thinking right or just being
Scare team.
incoherent. I would definitely have some internal talks, but honestly, I don't see the Ravens doing anything. I don't see the Ravens doing anything drastic like firing Harbaugh,
Do you think that
going
puts him on the hot seat though?
it definitely puts him on a hot seat. It definitely does. And in terms of if it's a bad year, this might be Harbaugh's last year. But in
Mhm.
terms of firing him in the middle of the season, like how we've seen the Ravens do with offensive coordinators in the past, like Cam Cameron, I don't see it happening. But I do see some internal talks, happening, and definitely some trades possibly. Guys like Marlon Humphrey or Mark Andrews, I've heard thrown around, in the Ravens, YouTube channels or media, this past couple week. I could see guys like that, being traded away.
Mhm.
But you know, definitely internal talks happening and not a lot of happiness in the locker room. That's what I can foresee.
I will say if I think this loss also if this we were to lose tomorrow or today, I should say, yes, that does put Harbaugh on the hot seat. I think they'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But if we stare Owen face into the eyes and go 0-5 into that Commanders game, the only way I see Harbaugh getting fired this season at this moment is if we lose that Commanders game. Like if we go 0-5 and then we go 0-6,
Oh yeah.
there would be no other way. Like I mean, there's no looking. I mean, you have to win out. Like there is no, oh, we can maybe win a few games and then we can lose two or three because then you're staring a under five season hunt in the face. Now, I don't think that the Ravens are going to go 0-5. If the Ravens do the right thing on Sunday, I think they win, and I think we're 1-2, and then we can relax. With firing and whatever. I'm still not a fan of Harbaugh this year or in general the past few seasons, but that's besides the point. But I don't know. I would expect a lot of changes if the Ravens stare 0-5 in the face and if the Commanders beat us here at our own stadium. But it's going to be a very important few weeks. This is uncharted territory for the Ravens. It really is. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to handle this adversity because I must be real, they didn't handle a lot of adversity last year. Like they were dealt not an easy hand, but a good they were dealt good cards last year. Obviously some of the injuries were unfortunate, but I think the Ravens overall were dealt the healthy bug or whatever. I don't know what word to say there, but you know I think we'll be going three. There's going to be a lot of talk, like
Oh yeah.
conversations. I think people are going to really be on that fire hardball train. There's a really dark path the Ravens could go down if they lose this game. And I don't want to over blow this out of proportion or be dramatic about this, but Twitter, Ravens Twitter is going to go nuts if we lose tomorrow. Or I stop saying tomorrow. Today, if we lose today, going into a Sunday Night Football game 0-3, Ravens Twitter is going to go nuts, and it's going to be probably like a civil war out there. I don't know if you've seen Orioles Twitter, but it gets bad, and it's got bad in the second half. So like it's gonna and the Ravens Twitter has a way bigger following than Orioles Twitter because the NFL is just more popular than football. That's just a fact. And it's gonna get nasty. So let's hope for the sake of sanity and peacefulness and whatever, we win and we win and look good. I don't want to have. I mean, I want to win whether it's a good win or ugly win, but like an ugly win's still gonna leave a bad taste in our mouth. So I want to win and I want to win good. I don't want to win nasty. I don't want to win ugly. I want to win good. With whether like it's a 34-20 game or something like that. We just look good from quarter one to quarter four because I mean we're dipping our toes back into the 2022 pond here, so and we can't go backwards. So anyways, I'm done yapping.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Let's hope for a win tomorrow. I said 30 to 27. You said 28 to 24, right?
I said if we don't start the guys, I think we lose 2024. If we do start the guys, I think we'll win like 34, like 22, 20, like something like that.
Okay. Well, let's hope for either of those or in general, let's just hope for a Ravens win. I think we
Mm-hmm.
can do it if we do it right. And that's all I got to say. Any more you got to say?
Just win.
All right. So let's get this win tomorrow. And also, let's get this win and making sure that you guys comment on this video. What do you think the score is going to be for today's game? Is there any keys to the game that you think the Ravens should do? Comment that below. Also, make sure to check out our social medias, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Twitter, especially our Instagram. Jared's cooking up some amazing, edits and graphics for our game day posts and our final score posts, so show some love to that. Um, Also, check out our Twitter for live game updates. And we're gonna cook up some things on our TikTok too, once we get going to these Ravens games. Also, check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. Um, like I said, before, there's a lot of cool movies coming out. There's Venom coming out. I do want to see Alien Covenant one day. I think there's a couple more movies out there, but make sure you check out our second channel. We have a Deadpool and Wolverine review. And yeah, that's all we got for you guys today for Birds Play Sports, and we're out.
Wow.